So we're Group 8, and we're exploring the relationship between Charlottesville crime and UVA sporting events. And we're made up of Ryan Amadiar, Lee Corbin, and Stephen Wasserman.
So we wanted to look at how the university and its students affect Charlottesville activity and statistics. We initially sought to provide visualizations on several different aspects because of the nature of our initial idea. However, we decided instead to just focus on one relationship, UVA sporting events and crime rates. There has already been a lot of research performed on this topic and several papers produced, but what makes our project notable and unique is that we provide an interactive visualization tool that allows you to see how different factors uniquely affect crime rates in the city.
So when looking at data, we wanted two main types of data. We wanted information about UVA sporting events and information about Charlottesville's crime. So focusing on the sporting events, we couldn't find any one large database that had information from multiple sports over multiple seasons, or at least information that we wanted. So what we ended up doing is we found two sources of data, one from a fan-made sports statistics site, which we cross-referenced with some more official sites and made sure the information was on the whole correct, that had information for each individual season of UVA men's basketball dating back to 2010, as well as one very large database for all college football teams in the NCAA, dating back to 2000 with information on every single game. So using these two data sets, we used a series of different logical tests to sort of break everything down so it had information only on the games that UVA played. And then in this broken down data set, we had information on the date that the game occurred, who UVA was facing, what sport the game was, whether or not UVA won or lost, and whether or not it was a home game for UVA. Then once we had these two data sets broken down, we put them together into one large sports data set.
And in order to get crime data, we looked at the Charlottesville Open Data website and found a arrest record dating back to April 2015 to present day, and it continues to be updated today. In order to clean it, we had to convert the block and street names into addresses that could more easily be turned into longitude and latitude coordinates. And also we wanted to lessen down the amount of different crimes in order to filter it. So we broadened the categories of crime types from 60 to 11. And then in order to produce a final data frame, we combined our geographical coordinates of the crimes with the crime types and the UVA sporting events that took place. And so we were left with only crimes that occurred on days that UVA had sporting events. And this allowed us to create a more holistic view in order to implement a Shiny application.
And so the way that Shiny application ended up looking is we have two tabs that both display different kinds of information. The first one being an interactive map with points for every crime that was committed on a game day. We have several filters over here where you can sort of filter out what you want to better answer a particular question the viewer has. And then for added detail, if you hover over any one of these points, it gives specific information on the broad crime category, the date the crime occurred, and what sport was being played that day. On our other tab, we have information on all crimes reported in the city of Charlottesville for each individual day for any month you choose. And then the color of the column is determined whether or not a game occurred on that day.
So we made several findings when parsing through this data. We found that more crime was committed when UVA played a home game versus when UVA played an away game. This crime can be geocentralized to the corner and to various other places on grounds. And the highest proportion of these crimes was considered vandalism. There is no significance between games in which UVA won versus games in which UVA lost. But most notably, on average, crime seems higher in the days leading up to and following game days versus the actual game days themselves.